Hello and welcome to Gadget Joe, and today we're feeling strong again. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the world of mesh Wi-Fi systems with a close look at the strong AX3000 Trio mesh system. It's an exciting offering that promises to solve one of the biggest modern day annoyances: dead zones, inconsistent Wi-Fi and mardy children. So, does it live up to the hype? Let's find out. The strong AX3000 Trio is a next generation Wi-Fi 6 mesh system designed to deliver fast, reliable and widespread coverage in homes or small offices. Its main selling points are the fact that it's easy to set up, it features Wi-Fi 6 support, and of course the ability to create a seamless mesh network with 3 nodes. You can pick up one of these AX3000 kits for around £100 to £140 price mark, and that's for the triple pack. If you don't need 3 of them, you can get them in a double pack, and you can pick them up for a little less, around the £80 to £110 price mark. So they're relatively inexpensive too. Let's take a look at what you get in the box, and then we're going to take a look at the key features. The box itself is nice, bright and vibrant with lots of images and numbers all over the place. It feels nice and premium and outlines a few of the key things you need to know around it, including multi-room coverage, speeds of 3000 megabits and so on. Inside the box you get the 3 nodes, neatly packaged into a concertina style presentation. Then underneath those are 3 power cables, also in white to match the aesthetics, and finally a white Cat5e Ethernet cable to connect the primary node to your existing router. The nodes themselves are quite bulky at the same time as being quite compact. I know that's a strange thing to be able to say, but they are quite chunky. In reality they are very much compact comparative to the likes of your existing router. That said, they're pretty nice to look at with a relatively modern looking design. They are all white all around, with lines going around the entirety of it. On the sides and on the rear, you have ventilation spaces for keeping the units cool. On the front, you have a strong logo with multiple lights underneath it. Power, WPS, Internet, 2.4 and 5 GHz indicators. Move to the back and you have the business end. This has a 12 volt 1 amp power line, on-off button, pinhole reset port, WPS connection button, 1 WAN and 2 LAN gigabit Ethernet ports. On the base you have rubber mounting feet and also some mounting points if you wish to wall mount the units. Now when it comes to specifications of the AX3000, they're pretty specced up. First of all, you get the Wi-Fi 6 technology, and this promises faster speeds, better performance in congested networks and improved battery life of connected devices. The system supports up to 3000 megabytes per second combined speeds. That's 574 megabytes on the 2.4 GHz band and a whopping 2402 megabytes on the 5 GHz band. Perfect for high bandwidth activities like 4K streaming, online gaming or handling multiple smart home devices. The second biggest feature is coverage. With these 3 nodes, Strong claims coverage for up to 525 square meters, or around 5,600 square feet. Although on some sites the figures are a little bit different. Some claim more like 300 square meters, whilst others say 600, but nonetheless it's an impressive coverage either way, and for the sake of argument's sake and for the video I'm going to go based on Strong's claimed coverage. Now when I come to putting this to the test, my house is nowhere near as big as that anyway, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to me to suggest so, but for most homes this should be more than enough to eliminate any dead spots. What's more is when you get the Trio pack with all 3 nodes, that'll allow you to connect up to 254 devices at the same time, which is more than enough for the busiest homes or a home like mine with lots of kids and lots of devices. The Strong AX3000 also includes features like smart roaming, which allows devices to automatically connect to the closest and best performing node, and band steering, which optimizes device connections to either the 2.4 or 5 GHz band for better performance. This is ideal for those that live in a busy household and those that travel all areas of the household, as it means you don't need to worry about having to manually connect your device to each node, giving you an uninterrupted service. And what's more is that you can also add an additional mesh unit if you do so need to. This AX3000 will allow support up to 6 units altogether, so you can really extend the coverage furthermore. If you wish to know all the smaller, finer details of the connectivity, frequencies, standards and more, I'll put them on the screen here for you to see, and feel free to pause and screenshot if needed. Now that we've unboxed and discussed the units themselves and their features, we can get them installed. Installation is super simple, and all you need to do is position a primary node within the included cable's distance of your existing broadband modem or router. Connect the Ethernet cable into your original unit, and then the other end into the WAN port of the mesh node. Now you can put the power lead in and switch it on. The power light will come up, and then it will begin to cycle through its initial setup. You can leave it to do this, and after a short time the unit will display internet, indicating it has an internet signal being provided. And then the 2.4 and 5 GHz indicators should also light up too. The WPS indicator will remain off for now until you physically press the WPS button at the back. This will now be ready to use with the password at the bottom of the node. We're going to take a look at the app very shortly for more customization. To connect the additional nodes, you just simply provide power to them. This is not a Wi-Fi repeater, so it doesn't need to be plugged into a socket on the main line. Switch it on and give it a brief bit of time like you have on the others to start itself up. This time, just the power 2.4 and 5 GHz LED will show because it's not connected to the primary node. In order to do this, you need to press the WPS button at the back of a primary node for 2 seconds. Now press the same WPS button on the secondary node for 2 seconds again. After a brief moment, they will both sync up, and the secondary node will then display the internet indicator. You will also notice now that the WPS indicator has now gone solid, and it will remain to do so while the mesh system is connected. This is not a fault, but just simply an indicator that it is connected to the mesh unit. To add the third node, you need to repeat the same process once again. However, this time we need to connect this one to the second node rather than the first one. So it's a case of pressing the WPS button on the second node for 2 seconds, and then the same again, the WPS button on the third one for 2 seconds, and then these should once again set themselves up. Technically speaking, you can run the units as they are like this, but it's just not the most efficient setup. You can change the settings via your admin panels on your internet browser, but it's much easier to operate via the app that is designed for these units. All you need to do is go onto your Play or App Store on your phone, type in Atria Mesh and download the app. Once downloaded, you need to ensure that you're connected to the Wi-Fi network of the nodes themselves and log in using the details. The login is generally speaking admin and admin, as you can see on the bottom, unless for some reason you've changed them before, and then you can use those credentials. Once you are in, you can then control the entire mesh system within, and it's pretty simple and intuitive too. There are lots of options, including My Network, which shows all the connected nodes on the network. This is great too for when positioning them because the green symbol indicates good signal. If it goes grey, it means that particular node does not have great signal, meaning that you can position them correctly for the best results. You can even add new nodes too by scanning the QR code on extra nodes. You can also see what devices are connected and attached to the network. So for example, you can see here my Galaxy S23 Ultra is connected currently. You can also change your Wi-Fi login details. Here you can name your network whatever you wish to name it, and then set a password that people are going to be using to log into that network. When you do save it, it will cause the mesh system to restart. Be sure to reconnect back to the network once they've rebooted for any operations within the app to work. You can change your guest Wi-Fi settings, so if you don't want people to connect to your main network, you can set them up a temporary network to connect to. You can even choose between the 2.4 GHz or 5 GHz option. Especially useful if you are a small business and you don't want your bandwidth hogged by all your guests by selecting just the 2.4 GHz only option. Be aware that the 2.4 GHz only option is a little bit lower speed than the 5 GHz, but that should be more than enough. You can schedule your Wi-Fi too, especially handy if you want the kids to get off the Xbox, PlayStation, PC or phones after a certain time. You can even go as far as having the LEDs on the nodes turn off at night if they are too bright, which is a very thoughtful little attention to detail. You can then start to fine-tune your network even further if you wish to do so. This probably wouldn't really be too necessary for a standard home setup, but for those with multiple gaming and streaming systems or a business that is using their network for more than just PCs, etc., you can dive into a lot of extra detail and set it up exactly how you wish with a pretty decent level of control within the app. And that pretty much wraps up the installation, app and setup of the AX3000 mesh system. As you can see, it's a pretty comprehensive little setup, but it's got a lot of customization and accessibility too, making it a pretty versatile system for pretty much any end user. It's super simple to set up, which is very much welcome because setting up routers, modems, extenders, etc. can be a real pig to work with, especially if you're not familiar with it at all. All you need to do now, once you've got everything set up, is locate the positions that you want each node within your house or office. Plug them in and monitor them on the app for signal strength. Once all the nodes show green indicators, then you are good to go. And just like that, you've extended your broadband signal across your property and most likely scored some brownie points with your kids or staff who couldn't get signal in the kitchen or bathroom beforehand for when they're on their toilet breaks. We all know what that means. Considering its relatively low price point of just £100 to £140 for a trio, it's outstanding value for money and it works exceedingly well too, proving that you don't need to spend big on much more expensive systems to get the results that you're looking for. In fact, for the first time in 5 years, I've actually got Wi-Fi signal in my studio, which is incredible. Granted, it's incredibly slow, but I'm going to be fixing that by ordering myself an additional couple of nodes to extend my signal even further to the studio. To get signal at all here shows how well this system works, so I am very, very impressed with it. And that pretty much sums up my review of the Strong AX3000 Mesh Trio set. Yes, they're a little bit on the chunky side, but that's not always a bad thing because so am I. But the ease of operation, setup and customization makes it a real strong contender to consider. No pun intended. I will, as always, leave a link as to where you can pick one up for yourself. And whilst you're down there, you might as well hit like and make sure that that subscribe button down there is selected too, so that you don't miss out on lots more like this and some incredible future giveaways. Thank you for tuning in. I've been Gadget Joe. This has been the Strong AX3000 Mesh Trio Pack, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.